Everybody, as we hang out with you here on the Bama Football Tailgate Show, and we are at the Flora-Bama, the world famous Flora-Bama. Getting you ready for number 11, Alabama, number 3, LSU, 6:30 at Tiger Stadium. And on the show today, we got Kenny White, our sharp from Vegas. We got Clint Lamb, my partner from Cover Crimson, and a lot more great guests. But let me tell you guys this, that the show is brought to you by Pearl River Resort in Philadelphia, Mississippi, a short drive from Tuscaloosa and Birmingham. Vegas-style sports betting at the Golden Moon Casino. Play $50 at the sports book and get a round at Dancing Rabbit Golf Course for just $40. I'm Mick Gillispie, with national championship winning quarterback and our good friend, co-host Jake Coker. Bama's 11 in the country, 6-2. LSU 6-2. They're 13 in the country. And this is a very big game. Good to see you, man. Look great with the Flora-Bama shirt.
Oh, yeah. Hey, last time I was on a Flora-Bama stage, I was singing Friends in Low Places with Big Earl and got booed off pretty quickly. So hopefully this experience goes a lot better.
So you're not a good singer?
No.
Really, I didn't pick that up.
Yeah, the Elvis voice doesn't translate to the singing voice.
You got to work on that a little bit.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
They booed you off though for singing Friends in Low Places?
Some girl in the front said, "Just give me the mic."
I wonder if we can get Big Earl to come on with us and hang out. But man, it is great to be here at the Flora-Bama. We're going to talk more about what this place means to both of us because we love being here. We both have had great experiences in here. And this is the exact room where doing the post-game show in 2016, a year after you played, I drank too much and got taken off the stage. So, but I'm back the scene of the crime. We've done shows here, but I don't know that I've actually done a show in here before. So it's cool to be back. But let me tell you guys a couple things. First off, if you're hanging out with us on Bama Tailgate YouTube, like and subscribe, thumbs up. Thank you so much. And all of you that know Jake and I, we host Elephant in the Room, our podcast on Cover Crimson, covercrimson.com. We'll have Clint Lamb on from Cover Crimson later on in the show. And then if you're listening on radio on our statewide network, part of the best stations and the best affiliates in the country, and in the best state in the country, by the way, Roll Tide, everybody. Thanks for being here at the at the Flora-Bama, world famous Flora-Bama Oyster Bar and Lounge. You talk about this bar and what it means. It's been such a staple, not just in the state. It's actually in Florida, technically. But, Jimmy Buffett wrote Bama Breeze about this bar. Kenny Chesney performed here. Riley Green. Snake Stabler used to hang out in this place famously. Are you going to be the next Snake? You going to go upstairs and have your spot?
As much as I love Kenny, no, I don't need that. I don't need that post-football career.
Did you hang out with him? Did you know him?
No, I wish I had. I know a lot of people that do, and I've heard nothing but good things, good times, and a guy that lived life to the fullest. I don't think I could hang in there.
This bar has so much history, man. It just being here and
when I turned 21 and came here for the first time, you hear all the rumors, the stories, that, and you come in. It's probably the only bar I've walked into and said, okay, yeah, this lives up to the hype.
Yeah, right. I'm going to tell you, when I first came in here, I was 19, and I had a killer fake ID. And I can tell you guys that now because, I'm at least 5 years past that. But this is going way back, man. And it's totally different now. You got the stages, it's a lot bigger now, but it's still right on the water. And then across the street, we did a show from Old River Grill, and you got the yacht club and everything else. But I love this place, and it's always had a nostalgic feel to me. And from the minute that I walked in, just like you, when I was 19, coming down from the University of Alabama with some of my buddies, I've loved it, man. Has this a vibe here.
Well, somehow, when John McGinnis and Paul Register, they took part in ownership of this place, they grew it far beyond, I think, what anybody would have ever thought. And they still maintain the history and kind of the traditions of the Flora-Bama. And I mean, it's just it's a staple of coastal Alabama now. I mean, everybody knows about it. You have to come to this place if you're visiting Orange Beach or anywhere around Gulf Shores, this area. Really, really love the ownership here, and they've done a great job.
Let's talk about the 34-0 bounce-back win over Missouri for Alabama. How do you feel about the Crimson Tide after that victory, and your thoughts on that game?
I feel really good about it. Now, Missouri kind of limped into that game and had a lot of injuries. I think it was kind of the perfect game going into a bye week prior to LSU. What worries me and what gave me a little hope and optimistic in the second half is we seemed to turn it on and play with more of a killer instinct. That first half, though, when you get them down, they make mistakes on offense. We didn't seem to capitalize on those mistakes, put the nail in the coffin. That's what I want to see. Just fluid play throughout a game, consistency on offense and defense. I don't want the offense to need a pick, in the opponent's territory in order to score. I want to see us put together drives with consistent routes, consistent upfront blocking, consistent quarterback play. Establish the run game, not make all these penalties that set us behind the sticks and put us in odd situations where we have to throw our way out of it.
We've got Clint Lamb coming up from Cover Crimson. We got Catfish making his debut on the show. You haven't met Cat, but he was on the show last year. He's back, and he's ready to swim with us here on the show. So that's exciting.
With a nickname like that, I'm getting a variety of mental pictures.
Yeah, we'll see what the Catfish is like. We got Kenny White from out in Vegas, possibly Lance Taylor from the next round, and more right here on the show. We're going to talk about Jalen Milroe, stock down right now with where his draft status is. We'll get into that and more when we come back. Let me tell you guys this, though. NewLifeArt.com. Use the promo code Bama Tailgate. With that tailgate code, you get 20% off everything but the new stuff, all the classics. And Jake's actually on one of those classics. I think it's incredible. I mean, I'm jealous, man. You're on a Daniel Moore print. I mean, that has to be really awesome when you walk into places and then there's your face staring at you from the best sports artist ever.
No, let me tell you, growing up, seeing those Daniel Moore prints, I think that, and then seeing a couple of highlights where Eli Gold saying my name, throwing a touchdown. I mean, I grew up listening to the radio, spent a lot of time on the weekends away from a TV and just listening to the games on the radio. And I got to a point where I enjoyed the radio as much or more than TV. So hearing that, and then the Daniel Moore prints, obviously you see them all over the place when you're in this state. To finally be able to be on one was pretty awesome. They, when he came out with that print, I got paid a little bit of money to sign these. I was like, dude, I'd do this for free.
I know you would, but you got paid anyway. Well, look, guys, the new print's called Deuces Wild. It features wide receiver Ryan Williams and defensive back Xavier Brown. Both were instrumental in Bama's 41-34 win earlier this season against the Georgia Bulldogs. So make sure that you check that out as well. NewLifeArt.com, promo code Bama Tailgate. The Bama Tailgate Show is brought to you by Pearl River Resort and Casino in Choctaw. Now's a great time to make your picks count at the Timeout Sports Lounge and Sportsbook. We'll talk Alabama and LSU. Bama Football Tailgate Show, hanging out with you guys from Flora-Bama, getting you set up for Alabama and LSU 6:30 at Tiger Stadium. Like and subscribe for those of you that are hanging with us on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. And don't forget, Cover Crimson YouTube. I'll be on with the post-game show after the ball game to take your calls. And it's good to see my man Heath here from Huntsville that came down to hang with us, man. Roll Tide, man. He's been regular on the post-game show. You need to be on the post-game show, son. I know you're probably three.
I'm too busy celebrating.
Yeah, celebrating the game. All right, let's get into this, and we'll take some of your questions off YouTube, but LSU and Alabama playing to stay alive right now. I mean, this is a big game for both of these teams.
This is just reminds you of that old BCS era when the regular season meant so much, determining who was going to play in the national championship. Here, this is a do or die moment for both teams. A 3-loss team is most likely not making the 12-team playoff. There should be no need for any extra motivation here. We're playing in Baton Rouge, it's you against the world mentality. I feel like, we just need to come out there, deal with the noise, no penalties, no miscommunication errors. And again, the motivation factor should be there for us walking in there. They're going to be trying to throw stuff through the windows at the bus when you're rolling up. I mean, it's going to be a wild scene. So,
right.
It's going to be an exciting game.
Can Bama's front seven affect Garrett Nussmeier and beat the LSU offensive line?
We can. I mean, that's not necessarily what I'm worried about too much. It's what we're going to do on the back end, in order to confuse Garrett Nussmeier a little bit. You're talking about a guy who's very experienced, very intelligent, anticipates well. I say very experienced. I know this is his first year starting, but he plays like an experienced quarterback.
Well, he's been around. I mean, he's been backing up.
Yeah, I don't know if us going out there and just saying, hey, we trust our guys. We like our guys more than yours. We're going to play man, and we're going to try to pressure you. I don't know if that's the right mentality. Again, I'm not the DC, but, when you go out there and do that, especially a guy like Nussmeier, you see man coverage, you really know where your man beaters are. It's pretty easy to make that decision. All you got to do, for the most part, I'm not going to say, it's just really easy, but you have to be accurate with the ball and know where you're going, get the ball out quick, because there is going to be pressure on you, and you got to be accurate throwing under pressure. I think he's very good at that. Now, he has thrown I think like 6 interceptions in the last 3 games, but he's also thrown the ball around 50 times the last 3 games.
Right.
So, we got to stop the run. LSU's not a dominant, efficient run team, and force them into those situations where they are throwing the ball over and over again 50 times a game. Now, having said that, you play man coverage. There's a lot of potential there for a lot of gash plays. A lot of game-breaking plays, just due to the fact you watch Tennessee. If Iamavi Alaba, if he's accurate in that game, we lose by a lot more.
Right.
A lot of guys running wide open. Now the pressure got to him. He's a younger guy. I think it affected him. He was very inaccurate there until the second half after he settled down a little bit. You play man coverage. You play that single high man coverage. You're going to get pressure on the quarterback, but you just got to hope that he's affected and he's inaccurate due to those pressures.
Thomas Crawford, Kobe Roberts, Tyree Adams, Garrett Dellinger, all out offensive linemen for LSU, but Roberts is the big one. I mean, you when you're left tackle, left guard, those guys are out. It's hard. They're hard to replace them, especially when it'd be like Booker being out for us.
Yeah, you play in a depleted offensive line. All those guys, there's a lot of moving parts up front. Guys
right.
Twisting, moving, coming from different directions. It's hard for a new lineup up front against Alabama, against that talent at Alabama. You just hope that we've got a plan together where these guys are confused and not really sure who they're picking up. There's miscommunication between Nussmeier, his offensive line, the running backs. They don't know who they're chipping, who they're picking up. You got to create just chaos up front, in my opinion, with a bunch of guys who aren't accustomed to playing with each other yet, especially in this hostile environment. So I think you got to mix it up. I think that they're going to have a hard time picking us up. And, I love taking Alabama -2.5.
Yeah, 2.5 is the spread. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. It's the Bama Football Tailgate Show, the original Bama Football Tailgate Show, presented by Yuengling Lager. And here at the Flora-Bama, nothing better than a nice cold Yuengling Lager. Bama secondary versus the Tigers receivers. You're talking about Aaron Anderson, who transferred from Alabama, hated to see him go. That's the guy that Nick Saban said after the game, I think last year, you should have stayed, basically didn't want him to go. And then Kyron Lacey is a pretty good receiver. It seems like they always have some guys that can make plays in the wideout spots.
Yeah, I mean, it worries me. There's no doubt about it. You watch Tennessee, you watch second half of Georgia. We kind of settle into that man, a lot of man coverage. Carson Beck, I mean, he's thrown off early on, but kind of settles into that game, sees what we're doing, and he's able to digest and get the ball out quickly. We we were able to get that pick at the end of the game because they were in the red zone. Our corners were able to play a little bit off and keep their eyes on the quarterback, just to be able to react a little bit better. So it definitely worries me. You just have to mix it up a little bit and get pressure on the quarterback. And I mean, my biggest key to this game is Jalen Milroe and the offense running the football. If I'm Nick Sheridan, if I'm Kalen DeBoer, I'm sitting Jalen down. I'm saying, look, here's the game plan, but you have to play within yourself,
right,
and do what you need to do to be comfortable back there. If you feel good about it, hang in there, make the throw. If you don't, you got to extend the play. You got to move around, buy time for yourself, run, be physical, play your game. I mean, we're calling plays based on what we think is going to work best. And if you don't feel comfortable with it, you got to do what you got to do, because his skill set allows him to do things like that aren't coachable. And so when you have a guy like that playing quarterback, you got to allow him to be comfortable back there and do what he needs to do to win the game, because at some point you got to put it in his hands.
Love the comments from the comment section here. Does Jake agree with AJ's analysis of Milroe, like not being able to set his feet correctly and other bad habits?
I mean, obviously you listen to AJ. AJ's been playing a long time. There's some things I agree with. I just can't. I think Milroe has a lot of potential. I think he's had a lot thrown at him this year. I mean, you're learning a completely new offense. You have a young receiver room. I mean, I think some of his deficiencies are in the pocket. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. I mean, not every guy is going to be a Cam Newton or a Vince Young, a guy that can run, throw, sit in the pocket, decipher everything around him. But again, he's had a lot of things thrown at him. I don't think that receiver room runs the best routes with the best timing, the best angles, the best pivot points, landmarks. I don't think everybody's quite on the same page yet, and that makes sense. Kalen DeBoer has only been there for 8 months. So those guys have to progress. They have to learn how to play with each other. When you're playing quarterback and you're sitting in that pocket and you've got guys running routes and you're not quite sure, if you're on the same page, if they come out, against man, they don't run a 7 route and keep it high. If it's zone and they don't flatten off. I mean, these balls that look really bad are oftentimes not just accuracy issues. They're miscommunications with these receivers. You watch against Missouri. I see a ball. Ryan Williams, he looks like he is wide open. And Jalen throws it over his head. And you kind of, when you look at it, you're like, man, that's such a bad ball. And then you look over and you see Kalen DeBoer say, he's pointing. He's like, you got to get out. He's got to come out of his route. I mean, to me, that tells me that, hey, Jalen's trying to throw the ball before he comes out of his break, and Ryan didn't take the right angle, or didn't come out of his break the right way. I mean, there's just a lot of moving parts, and I think that's gotten to Jalen's head a little bit. And I think second half of Missouri, I think those guys kind of got I think they progressed and got a little bit more on the same page.
Tiger Stadium at night. Is it? I mean, is this a place to be scared of? Because I feel like Alabama's always played well.
I don't know. When I was at Alabama and under Coach Saban, I think honestly we played better in away environments. I think you roll into a stadium, everybody hates you, they can't stand you. I mean, you're just catching hell from every angle. It's you against the world. I think it provides more motivation. I think you got to focus a lot more when you get a lot more noise. And during the week they're piping in crowd noise. You got to really learn how to communicate in that environment. So it makes you focus a lot more. So I think we played a lot better in those environments. We talked yesterday on the podcast about my senior year. We play Arkansas at home. We play Tennessee at home. To me, those games come to mind when you think about games we were out of sync and didn't play very well. And it's one of those things you can't really explain. It's just like the energy's not there. You make mistakes in key moments. Just the focus on the details isn't quite there like it usually is. Tennessee, we we have the 2-minute drive to win the game, and it was like we rolled out there and it was like, all right, guys, this is it. And we were able to lock in, focus, and get it done, score a touchdown, and win the game. Arkansas, we finally hit a big, long touchdown, and then that's when we started clicking. Just needed one positive play. But, we played Georgia at Georgia in 2015. I'm sitting over there warming up, and I see all the Georgia players run over to our tunnel and start taunting our defensive line, which is the worst position group you could possibly ever taunt. and it was like we were firing on all cylinders from the start, So I think playing in Baton Rouge at night, it depends on the mentality of the team. For us, I think it was only helpful. But, this is a young team that hasn't quite played too much together, and I don't know if they're quite there yet. But, again, from my experience, playing away is always kind of a leg up.
Hey, I want to thank Casey Jones. He came and saw us last time we were down here over at Coastal, which is another property owned by the same group, but sent us $20 super chat. And Casey, I'm going to tell you, named after the great Grateful Dead song, I'm trying to convince him to come to the Sphere with me and bring Ryan Anderson next year for Dead and Company. So we're working on him slowly. He's got his first Dead tie-dyed shirt. He hasn't actually put it on his body yet, but I got him one. You have one.
Yeah, I don't know if I can hang in there.
Oh, you can hang in there. Come on, man. Get out of here. All right, look, when we come back, and thank you, Casey. When we come back, we got Clint Lamb from Cover Crimson's going to join us. I want to tell you guys, again, thank you for hanging out with us. Thumbs up if you're watching on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel, if you're listening on radio across the state of Alabama. Roll Tide, man. Alabama and LSU. More right after this from the Flora-Bama.
Alabama Pals, people against a littered state.
Back on the original Bama football tailgate show, and it is great to bring on our friend and our partner of CoverCrimson.com, Mr. Clint Lamb. Let me remind you guys, before we bring on Clint, though, and talk Alabama football like we do each week, that our show is presented by Visit Sevierville. Clint used to live there. He knows all about it. It's a great time to visit the Smoky Mountains. And what's crazy is that the people in the Smoky Mountains come down here to the Flora-Bama and the beach, and the people at the beach go to Sevierville and the mountains, because you want to get – that's vacation when you live at the beach. You go up to the mountains, and we love the mountains. We appreciate them so much. But they have 4 different self-guided fall driving tours along the back roads and highlight historical points of interest and beautiful fall views, right? They've got maps and videos, everything you need at visitsevierville.com/fall to go and check it out and find out for yourself. So a guy that lived in Sevierville and is a great part of this show, Clint Lamb. Roll Tide, man. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, fellas. How you guys doing? Seems like y'all's weather's pretty perfect down there. Is it as good as it looks on camera?
Yeah, it's better than Sevierville.
Yeah. I will say this time of year is where Sevierville started to thrive because, you start putting up those Christmas lights in Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. And when I was a kid, man, I think it was 99 to 2001. A lot of great memories up there. So I haven't been to Sevierville in a really long time. I guess a couple of years ago in 2022 when we did the show. I actually did get to see my old stomping grounds and stuff, but just I don't get to visit up there enough, but I love going up there.
I loved it too. Clint and I had a great time in Sevierville, by the way.
Jake.
I know, but they don't know that in Sevierville. They might take that seriously. Look, Sevierville is a great place. I've spent, a big part of my life doing baseball up there. Love the people up there, and this time of year is awesome, man. If you go up there and they got the Christmas lights and everything, it's perfect for like a trip away. All right, let's talk some football, Clint. What's your feeling on Kalen DeBoer, Clint Lamb?
My thoughts on Kalen DeBoer? I think he's done a good job. He kind of has done what has been expected, right? I mean, I think Vanderbilt is a better team as we've progressed through the season than a lot of people thought at the, when that loss happened. I think obviously getting a win over Georgia has been big. Obviously, the loss to Tennessee and Knoxville, that wasn't overly surprising. I think how it looked and how a lot of that was, in some ways self-inflicted as far as undisciplined penalties, Kendrick Law, what he did at the end of the game as far as putting them in a fourth and impossible. So there's been some up and downs. I think the lack of discipline, whether it be penalties, whether it be guys doing stuff maybe they shouldn't be doing, has led to some concerns. I don't think that's specific to Kalen DeBoer. But this weekend's going to be a very interesting matchup because, as I've mentioned multiple times this week, when you look at when Kalen DeBoer's teams, when he's been the head coach, when they've been given multiple weeks to prepare, whether it be coming off of a bye week, whether that be preparing for a bowl game, they've had a tremendous amount of success. It hadn't been blowout wins. In fact, I think just about all of them have been one-score games. But he's 7-0 in those type of games, whether it be at Fresno State, whether it be at Washington, or coming off the bye week against Georgia earlier this season for Alabama. So I think he's doing what he needs to do. I'll be curious to see what ends up happening tomorrow night because this is a game that I can't quite figure out. I think it could really go either way. It will depend on what Alabama was able to achieve over the bye week, but I think they're positioning themselves well. If they can get past LSU, it's not going to be smooth sailing. Though, going to Norman will be difficult. The Iron Bowl is always difficult, but at the same time, I think they'll be in pretty good position. They've got to figure out a way to get past LSU this weekend.
You guys think Jalen Milroe's ready for LSU?
Well, here's my thought on it. I think our youth in the secondary going against Garrett Nussmeier is going to be, our weakness or the key to the game. And then also, you watch LSU over the course of the season, their worst performances are against Lenora Sellers at South Carolina and then Marcel Reed at Texas A&M.
Runners.
Yeah. I mean, quarterbacks that can allow their teams to dominate the run game is what that's LSU's weakness on defense. I mean, so, you really got to have Jalen Milroe show up, run physically, and win this game on the ground, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm right there with him. I think Jalen Milroe is so important. Like when you watch how he performed against Tennessee, wasn't his best stuff. It was a tough environment, but I don't think the offense, whether it be penalties, putting them in second and longs and third and longs, whether it be just not having a lot of success running the football, defense did its part. It put the offense in some really favorable situations, but the offense just couldn't capitalize. And, I think that when you talk about LSU's pass rush and what they bring to the table, it's not quite South Carolina, in my opinion, but from a production standpoint, one of the best in the country. They attack you in a lot of different ways. They got some depth. And so I'll be curious to see. Alabama's got to avoid the second and third and long situations as much as you can. It's very rare that you're going to be able to play things in a way, especially on the road, where you can avoid those altogether. But if you can limit them, I think that will really help Alabama. And they've just got to play complementary football. Like when the defense gets you the football, capitalize on it. When your offense is able to, or your defense is able to get a 3 and out, capitalize on that. And defensively, when your offense is putting up points, try to get some stops and allow them to stack some drives and maybe, try to create some sort of separation. All that stuff's really important. But Jalen Milroe in particular, running the football, Jake's absolutely right. That has been one of the Achilles heels. I don't think Whit Weeks had his best performance against Texas A&M a couple of weeks ago. He's done some really good things. I still think he's one of the best off-ball linebackers in the country. But against Marcel Reed, once they had to make that switch from Weigman, I feel like that really that entire LSU defense really struggled. And I think Jalen Milroe, if he can get some of that juice and that magic back in the run game, I think that's going to be critical.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, and the run game, and then also, you watch us early in the year. We're an explosive play machine on offense. And while that's great, it still made me a little nervous because we didn't have the 8 to 12 play drives that really, bled clock and just allowed us to wear down those defenses on the opposing side. And to me, when you watch an offense, especially throwing the ball, the passing game, I think those teams that do really well between 5 and 15 yards, that's when you've got a well-developed passing game. Everybody's on the same page because the precision of timing and angles has to be so much greater when you're working in those small windows. And I want to see Jalen complete some balls, between that 5 and 15-yard range efficiently, consistently, over and over again, and really just make some growth. Hopefully this bye week gave us some more time to really focus on that and get better in that intermediate passing game.
How big is this game for both of these teams?
Oh man, I'll tell you right now. I mean, it's huge. I mean, this is what we talked about when Nick Saban chose to retire. This was an opportunity for Georgia. With Kirby Smart, they had a Nick Saban problem. Will that turn into an Alabama problem? And they weren't able to capitalize. We'll see what happens moving forward. But a program like Tennessee, with all the success that Alabama had against Tennessee during the Nick Saban era, he only lost once. They were able to kind of get a win streak going against Kalen DeBoer. Brian Kelly is trying to establish himself as one of the prominent coaches in really not only the SEC, but in all of college football, but certainly the SEC in particular. And in this type of game, you get it at home. It's at night. You see some places that Alabama's vulnerable, and you say, hey, if we can get a win here, we can really start to establish ourselves as one of the premier programs, not just him being a coach, but the entire program in the conference. And with the shifting landscape of college football, that would be absolutely huge for LSU. Now, from Alabama's perspective, it's more about keeping, what Nick Saban did for so long going. And that, it didn't have as much success against LSU as he did Tennessee necessarily. But at the same time, he had a lot of success against LSU, a lot of big games. And, he always tended to have his guys prepared in these types of games. And so you would expect Kalen DeBoer to want to do the same. But when you talk about the importance of, where these programs are at and where they want to be, with the fact that you're kind of shifting to more of, two really, power conferences with the SEC and the Big Ten, positioning right now, especially with recruiting and NIL, it's really important. So if you lose, you're out of the college football playoff talk, or at least in my opinion, a lot would have to happen. I view this as an elimination game, and both teams or both programs are wanting to keep things alive, for the rest of this month. So I think that it's huge for both programs.
Clint, always great to talk to you. All three of us are part of Cover Crimson, the Cover Crimson YouTube channel, and covercrimson.com. Tell us about Cover Crimson. Tell everyone that's listening right now across the state of Alabama or watching on the YouTube channel why Cover Crimson is such a great place and how they get to hang out with you.
Well, first of all, I love what we've built, and we're not even close to being done. Like, this is still the beginning stages of this process. We started in August. Really didn't even make the announcement until about a week into August, but really just from a YouTube channel perspective, Cover Crimson, I think the stuff that you and I do together, the stuff you and Jake do together, I think all of it's phenomenal. I love being a part of it. I'm blessed to be a part of it. And then what we have going over on the message board, covercrimson.com. What I love so much is, it's kind of like the people on your show, and there's a lot of crossover, but there's some people who are very dedicated to your show. It's a phenomenal show, I understand. But we enjoy the interactions with people, whether it be in the comments, whether it be, the post-game show that you and I will be doing after the LSU game. We love people being a part of that, calling in, sharing their thoughts, whether it's them venting, whether it's just, some analysis of the game. We love absolutely every bit of that. And we also love all the interactions and comments and stuff that we get from subscribers over at covercrimson.com. A lot of great conversations. Stacy Blackwood does a phenomenal job over there. We've got actually several threads going right now, just talking about favorite memories from the Alabama LSU rivalry, talking about matchups, talking about everything that you could possibly think of. So if you haven't already, go subscribe to covercrimson.com.
All right. Thanks, Clint. Always great to hear from you. And we'll talk to you again real soon. You and I will be on, by the way, post game on Cover Crimson YouTube channel. This is the Bama Football Tailgate Show. It's brought to you by Yuengling Lager. Yuengling is a sixth-generation company, and Cheryl Yuengling was actually at our show when we played Missouri, and Debbie Yuengling, her sister, part of the company's ownership. And Cheryl is a proud Alabama grad, puts a little bit of crimson love in each one of those green bottles. Try Yuengling Flight. That's their real light beer. When we come back, we're going to have the Gating and Grilling segment with our friend Taylor Hicks, Kevin Sport, Carl the Cook Lewis from the John Boy and Billy.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, guys. I'm just picking at the picking parlor here at Kimbrough's in Franklin, Tennessee. We've got the Silver Fox on the grill. We've got our friend Taylor Hicks, and welcome back to Gating and Grilling.
We are the SEC.
Welcome back to the tailgate of all tailgates, Gating and Grilling. And we got a show for you today. We got the Silver Fox on the grill. Something about an Alabama pig shot. Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah, well, we got the multi-talented Taylor Hicks, and we have Muscle Shoals royalty iconic singer-songwriter Mark Normore hanging with us.
Moon over Georgia.
That's what I love about Sunday.
Those are classic hits.
You guys are great.
And
I'm
more.
glad we got Mark here.
Me too. Hey, stay with us. Gating and Grilling.
So we want to thank our friends at D Community. They have been so great to Gating and Grilling. Listen, go to D Community, scan the QR code, and play the parlay because everybody loves free money, right? So play the parlay or go to dcommunity.io. Gating and Grilling.
Oh yeah, man. Mr. Mark Normore and some Muscle Shoals soul, baby.
What I love about Sunday, sing along as the choir sways, every verse of Amazing Grace. Then we shake the preacher's hand, go home into your blue jeans, have some chicken and some baked beans, pick an SEC football team, not do much of anything. That's what I love about Sundays.
Oh man, take us to church, brother. God, we're so happy you're here. Tell us what that song meant to you. I know Morgan was thrilled to get it.
Yeah, I was thrilled that he got it. It was a 5-week #1, y'all, at country radio.
Talk to me.
And I think it was the top, 2005, the top played song on the Billboard chart. So I was really blessed to have that one.
You're just so doggone humble, too.
My favorite's Moon over Georgia.
Wow.
I mean, that's one of my favorites, but obviously probably millions of others' favorites too.
Well, bless your
How
heart.
far? So how long did that stay on #1?
That went actually to #9 in the Billboard chart, #5 on R&R, which I like the radio and records on that one. So
Right.
Top 5. Yeah, we recorded that in Muscle Shoals at Fame Recording Studio. Rick Hall producing, and that's the area I'm from. So Shenandoah was there in Muscle Shoals, so I kind of had an upper hand, a leg up, if you will, on what they were doing. So Moon over Georgia, yeah, I'm so glad they cut that. I was 22 years old. It was my first song, and I wrote that by myself. So
Oh man, so sweet.
Sing it for us.
Yeah, man, lay it on
She took the moon over Georgia. She'd rather have a million stars in the sky than a gold mine. She took the moon over Georgia. When it came down to this world of mine, she took the moon over Georgia.
You got some magic running through those fingers, buddy.
Y'all do
So
too.
that's kind of an R&B, a little bit of an R&B version, and that's what's great
Oh,
about
yeah.
getting around songwriters is that they've got their own versions of these songs that you never hear, and that's what's so special about songwriters like yourself is that you hear all these album cuts, but then all of a sudden you get the original, the real
There's
deal.
nothing like the original.
You the man.
Brother.
Y'all are.
Thank you
Y'all
very
are.
much. Thanks for coming to Gating and Grilling. We'll be right back. Everybody, stay around.
Roll Tide, everybody. We're at Kimbrough's here in Franklin as you watch Gating and Grilling. And I know you love hanging out with Taylor from American Idol and Kevin Sport. You know him from doing his stuff. Carl the Cook Lewis from the John Boy and Billy Show. But you love Alabama football. I want to invite you guys to our D Community site. It's Bama Tailgate at D Community. It's free. If you're watching us right now, just hit the QR code. Or if you're listening, it's dcommunity.io. But we do weekly pick'em contests where you pick the score. Closest to the score wins a cash prize. We also have a grand prize, which is a expenses paid room food, golf at Pearl River Resort for the national championship game weekend. So take advantage of that. But what's most important is we're all just hanging out, and we want you to be a part of our community. So that's dcommunity.io. Roll Tide, everybody, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
We are the SEC.
Back in Gating and grilling.
Yes, sir.
Dude has got some soul running through those fingers,
Well,
honey.
I mean, Muscle Shoals has some soul running through that river in North Alabama.
It does. It does. The documentary was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was something else.
Yeah.
I mean, he might be one of my favorite acts that we've had on Gating and Grilling.
Oh yeah, Mark's just a big old teddy bear full of music, man.
And Alabama raised.
Absolutely.
You know?
Speaking of Alabama, what do you think?
Bless you.
I think our friends in the Bayou.
You know, this will be
are
my
ready.
first. This will be my first Alabama LSU game I've ever been to.
Really?
You know, outside of touring and being on the road and stuff, this is a big game. You got to win these if you're going to move on. So
Yeah, you do, and they're going to come at us hard.
yeah, you know, all the New Orleans folks in Louisiana is kind of how I got to American Idol. So it was all those folks down there are just there's something else between the food and the music. I'm looking forward to maybe doing a little Cajun two-step and one hell of a football game.
Oh, they're going to have a great time. They know how to have a great time.
Oh yeah, and I'm looking forward to having a good time.
Oh yeah, you will. I'm going to tell you something too. I think they're going to love this Alabama
Pig
shot.
Carl,
And we got a great
come on,
Yingling to
bring
go
that
with it. Come on,
bring
man.
that shotgun in
What
here,
you got?
son.
What's up, fellas? What's up? I got
You
beef.
keep coming up with these masterpieces.
It's easy though, man. It's really easy. This is an Alabama pig shot.
Okay.
Tell you what it is.
All right, tell me.
3/4 inch piece of Conecuh sausage original,
Uh-huh.
wrapped in bacon to make a little shot glass.
Oh.
Inside that is a cream cheese mixture with cheddar cheese, John Morbilly chicken rub, John Morbilly pork rub, and John Morbilly original.
Man.
Topped with a slice of jalapeno on the grill for about 40 minutes, then drizzled with John Morbilly original. It's so good.
Sir, that's what I'm talking about.
Wow. I'm going to grab me a beer with you guys. Let's try one.
I'm gonna get one
Yeah,
right now.
let's
Watch
do.
this.
Let's do
I'm
that.
doing the pig shot.
Oh yeah, here we are.
Has it got anything through it? Don't have any toothpick.
No,
in
I got
today.
it. Cheers. Tell me what you got. Talk to me. You explain.
I got that Conecuh. I got that sausage. I got a little bit of spice in that Conecuh. But then we graduate to that pimento cheese. And then
You got the cheddar cheese. You
cheddar
pulling that
cheese,
through?
pulling the cheddar cheese through. And then all of a sudden you get hit with the bacon. You forget that it's bacon wrapped. You get a little bit of salt and the sweetness from the bacon. Then you top it off with a jalapeno.
So you got the heat, the sweet, the savory, everything.
And you got the whole
man.
kitchen sink in this piece of whatever I'm eating
and
here.
that shot. Right
Gosh, yeah. And just everything explodes inside your mouth. Plus, it goes really good with the Yingling. Of course, everything goes good with Yingling. Alabama pig shot, man.
I'm going to teach you how to do it. Might take a while.
Pig shot. What a great segment.
Great segment.
That was a great Gating and Grilling.
We love you guys. We love you big. Thank you for being in Gating and Grilling. We'll see you next time.
Go to
Thanks for being with us. Yeah, Roll Tide, man. Hanging out with you from the Flora-Bama, getting you ready for Alabama and LSU second hour of the show with Jay Coker. I am Mick Gillispie, and it is a pleasure to talk to you guys about Alabama and LSU. We talk about Alabama across the state of Alabama on our network, and then on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. And there's a lot of you guys talking to us on that channel as well. Look, I want to tell you guys right now that there's a fella that, Jake, you haven't met, but he's been part of what we do here for a long time. This is a guy that you know what that term OG? This is one of my OGs that I'm bringing back to the show. And I never told him to leave. He had to go do stuff, but now he's coming back. So let me go ahead and play us open, and then I'm going to bring on the man, the myth, the legend, Catfish.
My name is Catfish, living life just right. Mortgages by day, Alabama football at night. From the start of dawn till the stars meet the night, I roll tide, roll with all my might.
All right, there he is. Cat, what's up, Catfish?
Guys, what's happening? I'm not gonna lie, Mick. I was nervous as hell as to what that opener was gonna look like. I kind of just
Surprise, man.
Yeah, I just left it in your hands after yesterday. I thought, oh man, what's he gonna do to me? No, good to see you. Good to see you.
Yeah, look at you, man. Catfish goes back. He's been part of the Bama Tailgate family since the Bama Tailgate family started.
Yeah, well, with that nickname, your appearance is a lot more pleasant than I pictured.
Don't let the appearance fool you with some stories we got from back in the day. Mick.
Well, if you're an OG with Mick, I'm a little afraid if we should let you on FM radio.
Yeah. You've seen some stuff, man. Look, let me get into this right off the bat. What your thoughts on Alabama playing at LSU? Because I already told the story about the OG Cat, your dad. $45,000 slot, another $14,000 at Harris. It was when Mike Johnson was playing on the team, and we took the limo, Shula's last game there, and we lost. And it's been all about us ever since.
If he's the slot guy at Harris, he's still in the red.
That's the most true statement Jake could possibly make is that one right there. Yeah, Mick calls him. Mick said, I thought about going to my room. I thought about going to the buffet. But Mick said Catfish is handing out $100 high fives. I'm thinking over here in the high
You hear him? His dad was giving us $100 high fives. I was staying by the
Mick had his bags and everything in the high limit area. He wasn't going anywhere. No, I'm watching this stuff. It was great.
Hey, true story, man. Your dad gave me $3,000 that weekend, and that was the down payment on my first car. My first, new car. It was. Thank you, OG.
I believe it, man. We had some good times. We've also had some bad times, but they've all been kind of crazy. That night in 06, Mick, that's like my favorite story. We're walking back down, Canal Street?
Yep.
Well, I don't even know where we were going, but it was 3 a.m. And we just kind of look at each other, and I was like, Mick, you ever notice this place just looks and smells like what hell would be like?
He did say that, and it scared me a little bit. I prayed a little harder that night.
Corn Dog Central.
It was a lot more than corn dogs.
Yeah. It was back before the stuff was allowed. Back then. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the game. How big is today's game? How big is today's game, Kat?
It's huge. It's an elimination game. I guess you could say maybe Bama hangs around on that bubble, depending on what everybody else does. You got the win over Georgia and whatnot, but it's big for the playoffs because it's essentially a playoff game coming up here later. And then on top of that, DeBoer got that signature win against Georgia in the first month. Everybody's going nuts. Ever since then, everybody's been questioning DeBoer and the defense and, some of the players and the staff, and just kind of had the little cloud over the team. So, this is a game where it's kind of a rivalry. I mean, it is a rivalry. It's not Auburn or Tennessee, but it's still one of those games hey, we don't lose to LSU. Did you see the Alabama football social media team with their graphic that they put up yesterday? And it had away, but in quotes. So kind of Alabama dominates LSU down in Baton Rouge. So they kind of messed around with the Tigers a little bit. We'll see how that plays into anything tonight. But it's an elimination game for all intents and purposes. But I think it's a huge thing for DeBoer as well, because ever since Georgia, it's not been fun.
You got to remember, too, that Alabama, Saban was the first LSU coach to beat Alabama at LSU. From 1969 until 2003 or something.
Nothing like providing bulletin board material from within.
Right.
I remember, Coach Cochran, he'd always put up quotes from the opposing team, and towards the end of the year, or I guess after we got done my senior year, I was like, Coach, how much is that? How much of that is real? He goes, I made all that up. just horrible but believable from the other team.
Yeah, these guys stink. I hate Coker.
That's amazing.
What does Alabama have to do to win, Catfish?
It's weird because 1 week they got to get clicking on defense because they can't stop anybody. And then the next week, the defense looks great or much improved, and then the offense is sluggish. but we got to see Jalen Milroe again. We've got to see the Georgia version of Jalen Milroe again, and we haven't seen that as much lately. So, heavy on his shoulders, but that's what it's going to take because LSU, Nussmeier, Aaron Anderson, little revenge game for him, transferred from Alabama to LSU, gets a little shot back at the old team tonight. They're going to have to rely on Milroe to keep up. The defense has a tall task, but Milroe is going to be the key. Just like he was last year, I want to see that Milroe against LSU. Remember, Mick, he turned on the Jets in last year's game. We saw the full speed Jalen. So we got to see that again tonight.
And I'm with you. And I want to see the Milroe that's not afraid to run the football. I mean, and I remember going into that game last year, and I thought he was hurt the whole time. And then all of a sudden we get into that game, and boom, he's running. I don't know that he's hurt because everybody keeps telling me he's not hurting, but he's not running enough to me.
Yeah, well, to me, you watch that Georgia game, especially in the first half. To me, that was a master class by Kalen DeBoer and Nick Sheridan. I mean, obviously, we've got great players that can execute properly. But when you watch that first half against Georgia, you can obviously tell that our coaching staff knew exactly what Georgia was going to do, exactly how they come out and try to defend the looks that we gave them. And then they engineered plays that would work as long as we executed, and we executed perfectly in that first half. What I want to see is when we're in our base offense, running plays consistently that we run all week. It's not dialed up, gotcha plays where, you're going to score, make gash plays, explosive plays with what they give you. You're just kind of feeling out the game and playing fluidly throughout. I want to see us make plays. Again, when we don't know exactly what they're coming out with, just base offensive stuff.
So what would you guys say the keys of the game are?
Jalen Milroe's physicality, our run game, we got to dominate up front. Don't put ourselves behind the sticks. And Jalen has got to be a physical runner this game. He cannot get caught up and hanging in the pocket, being indecisive. He's got to, if he feels comfortable with it, make the throw. If not, extend the play, get out of the pocket, get first downs with your legs. That is what makes Jalen Milroe, his legs. He's more than a capable thrower. But what makes him dynamic is his athleticism, and he's got to use that here, tonight against LSU.
I think what Jake just said is we need to see Jalen Milroe pull a Jake Coker against Texas A&M in 2015 is what it sounds like. That's the Milroe. That would be awesome if he could lower the shoulder and hit some people hard. I agree with you there. I want to just see the running game get going and then let that open up the pass. You saw in the previous game, more targets, more spreading it around because it was a heavy dose up to that point in the season of Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard. And then you saw Prentice and you saw K-Law and some others start to get a little more targets. So I want to see the run game. If you get that established, that's also a way to take the crowd out of a game, is if you can sustain a drive, especially on the road. So I'd like to see the run game get going tonight.
Kat, welcome back to the show. We expect you to be on the show from here on out and tell us about what you do outside of being the man known as Catfish on the Tailgate Show.
Yeah, outside of slots and $100 high fives from OG. Yeah, we help you cash out and get equity out of your home so that you can go to the high limit room if that's what you choose to do with it. But mortgage rates are finally starting to trend back the other direction. We had some good news this week earlier, things with the election, things with the Fed, all those kind of help the markets. So refinancing, we've actually helped quite a few people just recently save $500, $800, and $1,300 a month, or three different scenarios. Just probably the biggest success stories we've had. So that's where you can follow me. That's my phone number, my email, my everything. I answer it. It's not a bot. It's not a team member. Reach out to me. Be glad to chat, help, whatever you need.
All right, that's ask him, Chad at chadwickanderson.com, 615-282-5253. Don't call and ask him about Alabama's recruiting class.
Well, you can. It's fine. We can
call and ask him about Alabama's recruiting class.
Yeah, we'll talk about both. It works.
That's so funny. Hey, this segment, it's great to see you, by the way, Catfish. It's brought to you by visittuscaloosa.com. And I can't wait to hang out with our man Jimmy Hart when we're in Tuscaloosa next week. But check out the Tuscaloosa Farmers Market. Takes place every Saturday at the River Market from 7 to noon. The Tuscaloosa Civil Rights Trail, a self-guided tour that includes 18 stops around Tuscaloosa, the amphitheater, concerts, Druid City Music Hall, and more at visittuscaloosa.com. All right, we're going to talk more Alabama and LSU. We got the pick segment with the man, the myth, the legend, Kenny White from out in Vegas, our sharp. More of the original Bama Football Tailgate Show right after. Back on the original Bama Football Tailgate Show, hanging out with you guys at the Flora-Bama. Appreciate all of you for joining us each week here for the preview of Alabama football, Alabama and LSU. Our show today. Next week, we will be back in Tuscaloosa at Innisfree for the Alabama Mercer show. And we're playing the odds, brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Great to have Kenny White. Kenny White's Power Ratings. Jump on with us like he does every week. And with Jake Coker, I'm Mick Gillispie. Kenny, good to see you out in Vegas. What's up, brother?
Hey, Mick, Jake. It's that time of year right now. I'm very excited. But I'll tell you one thing. Give me a chance to vent. You know, I submitted to the NCAA a 16-team college football playoff over 20 years ago to the NCAA because I had their ear. I was their integrity provider, and I went to all of their conferences, and I broke it down for them how to use bowl games in each round. And when I did that, you know, Jake and Mick, I was thinking the 16 best teams in football. And when I got the first projected bracket and BYU was in the Final Four with a bye, I wanted to throw up. They're the 28th best team in the country. They're not one of the top 12 teams in the country. There's no way they should be in there. And obviously, I know there's a lot of games left to play, but I think it's completely wrong on how they put this bowl picture together that the best team or the winner of each conference tournament, I guess you have to do it that way. So the SEC could have all 12 teams for all I care because that's the best teams in the country. I just don't get it. Mississippi would be a 12-point favorite over BYU on a neutral right now, and they're not even in the discussion in the top 14.
Well, that's it. Let's start right there then with our picks. Number 9, BYU at Utah. Utah's a home dog, 3.5-point underdog, 40.5 the over-under. Look at this right here, man. We got some bushwhackers coming our way from our man Heath from Huntsville. Thanks, brother, man. I love this guy right here. Look, this is, Kenny, I don't want to make you jealous, but we got a floater on top of this thing right now. Break this down for us, though, man.
Oh, I'm extremely jealous. I wish I had a bushwhacker for BYU. This is the holy war. These two teams hate each other, and they play extremely hard. It's the biggest game of the year for both teams. With BYU at 8-0, I hope they looked at that, and I hope they looked at the college football playoff and feel really good about themselves. I hope their heads are so big they can't get out of the locker room. Utah at 4-4, a 4-game losing streak. This is a team that needs a win badly, and Isaac Wilson continues to get more experience at quarterback. So I still think this is a very evenly matched football game. So I've got Utah plus 3.5, and I'm just praying for the college football playoff we don't have BYU in there. And I love BYU. Been always a big BYU fan. I just don't think they're one of the top 12 teams in the country.
No, I'm with you on that. I'm going with the home dog in this one, Utah. What about you, Jake?
I mean, this is a no-doubt scenario for me. Y'all know how I pick games. A lot of times an 8-0 team, only a 3-point favorite over Utah. I mean, Utah is a no-brainer.
Yeah. I tell you, man, the bartender with the beard here, man, he makes a hell of a bushwhacker. Roll Tide, brother. Thank you, man. I don't know if he's a Bama fan, but this bushwhacker is amazing.
He makes a bushwhacker like a Bama fan.
He does.
Let me tell you.
He does. He may be an Auburn guy, but his bushwhackers are Alabama quality. All right, let's go to the second game. Oklahoma's at Missouri. Kenny White, this is an old Big 12 matchup game right here. This is the old Southwest Conference. Missouri's 24th in the country. They're a 3.5-point favorite, and 41.5 is the over-under in this game. What you got?
Yeah, no doubt about it. An old Big Eight rivalry between these two. It all comes down to, I guess not all, but Brady Cook is a big question mark. Noel, their best running back. They're both listed as questionable, so I like that. But the numbers, the betting tells me that maybe Cook's not playing. Missouri opened a 4-point favorite, and we're looking at Oklahoma favorite today. So I'm just looking at this game thinking Missouri's still good. Drew Pine's still a good quarterback. He was at Notre Dame for 3 years. He had a hell of a year in 2022, transferred to Arizona State, didn't play a lot last year, and now here he is at Missouri. He didn't look good against Bama, but he's got experience, and at home against Oklahoma, I think he can win the game. Oklahoma's median score against SEC teams, 14 points, 26 allowed. Missouri's not much better, 15 scored, 27 allowed. So they've both been outscored by 12 points a game. I think it's an even game. Missouri's at home. Give me the points with the Tigers.
All right, Kenny, what about you, Jake?
I still think, Kenny, where's the public on this game?
I think the public will be all over Oklahoma just because they're the favorite.
But, man, Oklahoma just does not look very good to me at all. I guess I'll have to go with Oklahoma or with Missouri here. I mean, it kind of like you said. Even if Cook is out, I like Drew Pine. I think he's a good quarterback. I think the more he's spent a lot of time as somewhat the starter over the last couple of weeks, and I think he'll find a way to get it done. I'm taking Missouri.
Now, Missouri's going to hammer Oklahoma. I'm sorry, but Oklahoma's coach is going to be looking for a job. And we got an extra spot on the tailgate show if he wants one. All right, guys, let's talk about this other game. Jake, you're going to give us your pick later on in the show. But number 11, Bama, is at number 13, LSU. LSU's a home dog, 2.5-point underdog. 58.5 points is the over-under. Kenny White from Kenny White's Power Ratings out in beautiful Las Vegas, which, by the way, Kenny, I'm trying to get Jake and Ryan Anderson to go out there and see Dead and Company with me in the Sphere this summer when they announced they're going back. You have to go with us, man. Wouldn't that be fun?
That would be great. Let me know. I'd love to go with you guys. That would be a fun night. I was out of town. I think I was getting married in Hawaii when you were here this past year.
I'll show you boys a good time. Tell us what this Bama LSU game is going to look like.
Now, Bama's the better football team. 6th best offense, 3rd best defense. I got them 5th overall, 127.5 rating. And I've got LSU, the 10th ranked team in the country, at a 122. So I have a 5.5-point difference, but you do have to give some home field to LSU. So it makes it fairly even. And let me tell you this, SEC dogs. If you bet every underdog, there's been 42 games played in the SEC this year. Underdogs are 29-13 ATS. You are killing it if you're betting SEC dogs in conference play. The away dogs are doing much better, though. They're 16-4. So if you get an away dog, there's some value there. But I think it's going to be a close game. Jalen Milroe, I heard you guys talking. Jalen Milroe's got to be that guy that played against Georgia. Since Georgia, just 3 touchdown passes and 5 INTs. He has not been good. So it's going to be up to him to play well. The defense has played great the last 2 weeks. I love the way the defense is flying around. So I'm going to go under the total as my official play here. I'll be rooting for Bama to win the game, though, but I think the price, Alabama -3, is the right price, so I can't bet it.
All right, Kenny, tell me about Kenny White's Power Ratings. And I know there's a lot of people in the great state of Alabama that trust you to help them make their picks every Saturday.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I'm trying to help people become their own handicapper and tell them the power ratings are your foundation. You have to have a rating on everything to know how good teams are. So that gets you the start, and then it's up to you to kind of do the extra work, try to find reasons why you want to bet those teams that we think the numbers say we have an edge on. So, and it's very affordable, $25 a month, less than $1 a day. You get the NFL, college football, NBA, NHL, and college basketball emailed to your inbox every single day. I flood your email with so many spreadsheets and stats and numbers, but really the only ones that matter, the Kenny White line. I give you that line and I do the projected final score for every game. Thank you, Mick.
Always great to see you, brother, and roll tide to you out there in Vegas. And I want to tell you guys that this segment is always presented by our friends at Pearl River Resort. The original Bama Football Tailgate Show is also brought to you by Pearl River Resort over there in Choctaw, Mississippi, Philadelphia. Now you can make your picks count at the Timeout Sports Lounge. You don't have to go all the way out and see Kenny like we plan on doing later this summer, or I guess next summer, really, when the Dead are out there playing the greatest songs that have ever been written. But you could go right to Philadelphia. We're going to be there for the Oklahoma game, and we want you guys to check it out as well. Golden Moon Hotel and Casino, the sports book at Timeout Lounge, offers traditional sports betting in which guests can bet on all the professional sports leagues and major collegiate sports as well. 20 TVs with feeds to all the major sports network, 12 state-of-the-art wager boards, and that lists all the games, and then 3 wager stations to do in-bet betting, plus the full bar, all that. And if you spend $50 at the sports book, you can play Dancing Rabbit Golf Course for just $40. So that does it for this segment. But when we come back, we're going to really dig into this Alabama and LSU game. More of the original Bama Football Tailgate Show is coming. Back on the original Alabama Football Tailgate Show as we talk Alabama and LSU. Great to have Kenny White from Kenny White's Power Ratings join us as we kick it at the Flora-Bama. Got to thank our man Heath from Huntsville. You guys know him if you listen to the post-game show because he jumps on. We're going to be on after the LSU game on Cover Crimson YouTube channel and taking your calls and talking about the game. And hopefully we'll have lots of good stuff to talk about on there. Show's brought to you by Yuengling Lager. That's the oldest American brewery. And Cheryl Yuengling, Debbie Yuengling, we had them at the last home game show, which was pretty cool. We had 2 of the 4 sisters. 4 Yuengling sisters. We had 2 of them there. Cheryl, you threw Cheryl a curveball with your question. Let's talk about this game. But I want to tell you guys that we're proud to be presented by Screwball, the original peanut butter whiskey. And our friend Heath, he got us a Bushwhacker. And inside the Bushwhacker was his favorite. And sometimes it's not always a good idea for him, right? Like, because I see, they're saying now the floater, Screwball floater in this Bushwhacker. It's delicious.
Floater's dangerous.
They're good, though.
You better check that straw before you take a sip.
Well, I thought Chris Bengal was going to be here, and he was here the night that I had too many floaters and Bushwhackers.
Made his radio debut.
He met him and Mike Johnson, and Mike had to take over the show. And I was ashamed of that at the time, but now I'm this many years older, and you know what? I love it. It's because if it happened now, I'd say, you take over, Jake, and I'll just be your drunk friend on the air.
We'd have a lot of random guests. You'd really get the flavor of the Flora-Bama.
We did. I love being at the Flora-Bama. All right, let's talk Alabama and LSU. What's wrong with Jalen Milroe?
Oh man, I hate the way that question's posed.
Sorry, but I'm not. That's my job. So let's be honest, though, man. We saw. You and I both are big fans. Like, it's not like we threw mullets with him right out there in the beach.
The Jalen Milroe we've seen over the last 3 weeks is not the Jalen Milroe we've been accustomed to for the last year and a half.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I will agree with that. And again, I think there's a lot of moving pieces at play here. I think Kalen DeBoer is coming in, implementing his system. When Coach Saban had new coordinators come in, the language stayed the same. The offense stayed the same. The coordinator had to implement, his ideas through Coach Saban's system. So you still had the same. The protections were called the same. The routes were called the same. All of that was the same under Coach Saban. And again, the coordinator came in and made a few changes here and there, but the base offense was the same. So, Jalen Milroe is getting accustomed to an offense where everything is called differently. There's a different mindset, for a lot of these schemes. everybody kind of runs a similar stuff. So, I mean, everything's taught similarly, but there are different keys that change with different coaches. Some guys like this in this certain scenario. Some guys like something else in a different scenario. So, a lot of details that he's having to get used to. And as a quarterback, having those details nailed down mentally really change the way you play from the perspective of speed, being decisive, getting the ball out. One small bad decision as a quarterback, or one small decision that may be a good decision, but it's not executed correctly by anybody else on the field, can turn into a pick six. So it takes a lot for a quarterback to learn a new system and implement that system efficiently under a new coach. So I think that has a lot to do with it. And really what Jalen needs to do is play in a way that makes him most comfortable at this point. He drives this offense. He carried us last year. His athleticism, his ability to extend plays and get the ball out and kind of awkward situations allowed us to overcome a lot of the weaknesses that we had. And so he needs to get back there. That's ultimately what he's got to do. And I've been saying this for the last 2 weeks. If you don't feel comfortable with the looks you have, then you got to make a play with your feet. And again, you're dynamic in that way. You got to utilize that. And so if I'm Kalen DeBoer, if I'm Nick Sheridan, that's what I'm telling Jalen. Here's the play call. If you like it, run it the way that we want you to run it. If not, you got to figure out how to gain yards and not create negative plays.
Yeah, look, man, and this isn't because you're sitting up here, but you were one of my favorite quarterbacks just because I like the way that you were able to stretch the field with the long ball. But then at the same time, like, I felt like when you ran, it was like, oh, okay, those plays were open. I feel like with Jalen, he can open the field with the long balls too, but part of his game is the running part of it. Like, that's where he's dynamic.
Well, to me, when we had 9 new starters on offense when my senior year. Okay, 9 new starters. We had two starters that had played the year prior. So it took a little while for us to get on the same page. And you can practice all you want to. You don't really get better and realize your potential until you've played in game-like scenarios. You take that black jersey off, you're getting hit every play, and you realize how quickly you have to get the ball out. Okay, and so I felt like, and we've discussed this earlier in the year, I don't think you're going to know what Alabama is until week 6, week 8, where you've had that time to really develop as an offense with those guys week in, week out, new faces. And so, again, when I'm playing quarterback early on in the season and I don't feel comfortable with a route or a read, it makes you play a little slower because, again, just one small error running a route makes a ball look far worse than it really is because you're anticipating a guy being here and you throw it there and he comes out at a different angle and that ends up being a pick six. I mean, something as simple as a curl or a comeback. I mean, if you have a misunderstanding with landmarks, distance, timing, you throw it where you think that guy's going to be, it goes right by him. The corner's just sitting there waiting on it. There's a lot of very fine details that you have got to get down as an offense to be consistent and win football games. And, I'm just waiting on us to get there. And I think Jalen's fully capable of doing that. But in the meantime, much like last year, when we had Tommy Reese as the offensive coordinator, it took him a while to kind of figure out what our strengths were, what was going to make us win games. And Jalen's athleticism is what saved us, especially early on in the year, when the play call may not have been perfect. Our guys may not have understood what was going on, but he was able to make plays with his feet, extend plays, and do things that weren't really coached. But the athleticism made up for the lack of execution. And that's what we need right now.
Love the super chat from our friend Adam. He says, Mick, LSU is likely expecting the same game plan that we had last year, featuring Milroe as a runner combined with short passes. Should we go against tendency and have Milroe throw 30-yard plus? and rely on jam and justice. Thank you, Adam. Always great to have you on here, man. And we appreciate the super chat so much. So I guess he's saying that like they're thinking it's going to be the same thing. See, I don't know. I mean, that we've been trending away from that to me, because Milroe hasn't run that much. Milroe ran over those guys like a freight train last year.
Well, and you could almost tell the difference in physicality when he was running in that LSU game last year, right? I mean, I felt like when you watch that game in comparison to other games, it was like, man, he's got a whole different level of physicality here than I've seen in other games. I want to see him just be ruthless running the football. I mean, bypass the thought of getting hurt, bypass the thought of fumbling the football, whatever it is. You have got to be aggressive and physical in order to win this game in Baton Rouge. That's just what it takes. You have to play. Jalen has to play a great game. He has to play a physical game in order for us to win. And that's bottom line. Nothing that Ryan Williams is going to do or, any of our other receivers is going to do is really going to define whether we win or lose. It's all, to me, it's on Jalen with his arm and with his legs. And he carries this offense, and he's got to have one hell of a game, and he cannot hurt us in terms of throwing interceptions, fumbling the football. And it's unfair. It is unfair, but it is what it is. He is that essential to our offense being successful on set tonight.
This is a curveball question for you because I don't know how many times you've been to Louisiana, but what is your best Louisiana bar? You can include New Orleans, and I'll tell you right now, mine's Pat O'Brien's. Catfish, and I had some great nights at Pat O's, the Hurricanes, the Piano Bar, floating around in there, full of Alabama fans. I look through my pictures, and I'm like, I don't even know who these people are, but I had such a great night with them at Pat O'Brien's that I see the pictures. I'm like, I remember that night. I don't know them, but I remember the night.
I haven't been down there enough to know the scenes and the bars and all that. When I go down there, I say when I go down there, the 2 or 3 times I've been down there, I've walked into a bar. Hey, it's a great time. Move to the next one.
Okay.
I mean, just rolling through them.
We got to take you. We got to take you down. I got to take you down there, Uncle Mick. Let's go.
Yeah.
Come on.
You know me. That's not my scene.
Hey, look, man. I got a feeling that
I have a good time. There's no doubt. But at the same time,
Mr. and Miss Coker down to New Orleans, I think we'd have a great time.
I'd have a great time. There's no doubt.
She would too. I'm telling you right now. That is.
She'd be like, I need to get you out of here.
No, she'd be like, this is what I've needed. I've been dealing with a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, and this is. Can you play another Billy Joel song? Yeah, I kind of can. All right, let's talk more about this game when we come back. See Chad's still hanging out. Oh yeah, here it is right here. Yeah, his dad got a $42 OG Catfish's dad. A $42 refund on Pat O'Brien's glasses. We had 21 refundable glasses of Hurricanes last time we were there. Think about that.
I can't put that math together right now.
It's a lot. It's a lot. They'll buy you drink glasses. OG Cat and Catfish, you guys know all about this.
Yeah,
all right.
That tab sounds. You may have CTE after that.
I'm going to tell you the story. We get there and there's a long line outside. OG Catfish's dad, walks up to the front. He's like, you guys wait here. Like, we're waiting on the side of the line. And he's like, pulls out hits that guy in the front with some cash. And I'm going to tell you something. We were sitting in front of that piano that fast.
Were you sporting the mustache back then?
I wish I was. All right. Well, final segment of the original Bama Football Tailgate Show from the Flora-Bama right after this. Welcome back to the original Bama Football Tailgate Show. Final segment as we get you set for Alabama and LSU. A lot of you guys are going to go to the Crimson Tide Sports Network, and they'll get you right up to kickoff. Our friend Chris Stewart and company over there. We absolutely floored by the success that the show's had, and we appreciate all of those stations across the state that play us on radio every Saturday as we get you set for Alabama football. So today, Alabama takes on LSU. Our show's brought to you by Pearl River Resort and Yingling Lager. America's oldest brewery. All right, Jake, as we kind of get ready to finish this show up, I want to tell everyone that we'll be back at Innisfree for the Mercer show next week. This is the rundown of the shows right now. I mean, I'm going to let everybody in on kind of the management of this. We're going to be at Innisfree. We're going to be at Pearl River Resort for Oklahoma. We're going to be back at Innisfree. And if we make the playoffs, we're going to try to go to Jasper for Brett. We're going to try to go to Jasper and do a show there with all his people because, obviously, yeah, right there. And you come down, man, and hang out with us. In Jasper. We got to get there first. I don't want to announce anything until we get to the point where I know we got postseason coming up. Hopefully the playoffs. Got to win this game to get there.
I think, given that line, if we were 2.5-point dogs, I'd be a little nervous. But Vegas coming in we're at -2.5 now. Honestly, if I'm giving my prediction on the score, I think we win by 7 to 10 points. I think we show up. I think we get back to where we were last year where Jalen was firing on all cylinders. I think we create some turnovers again with LSU. They're not an efficient running team. Garrett Nussmeier is probably going to throw the ball 40 to 50 times. I think we create a few turnovers that change the game. And then I think we have some consistent play on offense. Again, as long really what I want to see is no penalties and consistent run game. That's it. I think if we can do that, then we win the game. If not, and then we give up some gash plays, some explosive plays on defense, I think we're in trouble. I think that's our Achilles heel. If he can take advantage of some man looks where he's getting the ball out and he's accurate, I think we're going to be in trouble. But as long as we can limit those, keep the guys in front of us, make them throw the ball over and over again 40 to 50 times, I think we got a good shot at winning this game.
How tough is Death Valley at night?
I think playing at Tennessee, at Georgia, the loudest I've ever heard a stadium is Texas A&M. The only place where I felt like we went to we went and played Mississippi State at Mississippi State my senior year. And
I was there.
Will you ever go back?
I mean, I've been back, but it's a lot of cowbells.
I don't know how you could do it. The cowbells, you can hear everything. It's not that loud, but the cowbells are like that. I mean, it's the most annoying noise you've ever heard. I don't know how anybody sits there and enjoys the game.
That's their thing, though, man. So, look, the loudest stadium I ever heard was when we were there in 2008 and we missed I think it was Griffin or Tiffin, one of those guys missed the chip shot field goal in regulation to beat them. And the place went nuts. And then, John Parker got him in overtime with the dive and then did the phone thing. We both like John Parker Wilson. That was he's the
best.
He's a great dude. That was a great moment for Alabama.
LSU. I thought you were talking about Mississippi State.
No. I'm talking about LSU. Yeah, it was so loud in there. Score prediction.
I'm going to go 24-16.
Alabama.
A lot of field goals for LSU. I think once they get to the red zone, they struggle scoring touchdowns. I don't think they're physical up front. I don't think they're going to be able to punch it in. I think they have a few good drives, but a lot of field goals. And I think we're consistent on offense, run the ball. I think we punch it in and score consistently on LSU.
Guys, catch us, Elephant in the Room, on Cover Crimson YouTube. We do a show twice a week. We did one on Thursday that was 2 hours and a half. We just get in there and talk, but we want you to be a part of that as well. And then after the game, I'll be on the Cover Crimson YouTube channel with the post-game show after Alabama and LSU. Also, check us out, and I know a lot of you guys are watching the Bama Tailgate show on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. Like and subscribe there. Thank you, Richie Giuliano, for helping us out behind the scenes. And for everyone, my man Heath out here, and you got your guys in the house here.
That's right. I mean,
I see Rob in here. Man, it's a big game when Rob shows up. Dad's here. Roll Tide, everybody. Thanks for being part of the show.
We'll have to. He my dad knows why we played Tennessee close in 2015. We'll have to have him on and provide us with some details there.
He was giving me some insight on that. Thanks to all of you guys, too, for being part of the Bama Football Tailgate Show. It's brought to you by Yuengling Lager, America's oldest brewery. We'll talk to you next week before Alabama and Missouri. But roll tide, everybody, and covercrimson.com after the game if you want to get into this. And all of you that were giving me some love on my mustache, I appreciate that, man. I needed that. Heath is giving me one. I haven't gotten a whole lot of that from Jake, but the rest of you guys,